Hello everyone. Today we're looking at a 3v3 game that I think illustrates the importance of picking your target in team games. It's all well and good that you can build up a force and that you're going to be raiding, but if you can kind of specifically identify where an opponent of yours might be weak, it's going to lead to some potentially relatively quick games where you can take someone out pretty quickly. Especially if you do some of the things that I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's jump right into things right away here. I am playing as the French using my kind of typical team pro scouts build order. We'll talk about that very briefly again, just going 7 to food, killing a couple of the sheep onto the town center, and then I'll be rallying 4 onto the gold, then onto the food for the rest of the age up. I'm going to keep this game on just my team's vision for the first part. Because I think that's going to highlight a little bit more about what I'm seeing. For instance, we're on the map Lipany. We know that Lipany kind of has some weird spawns sometimes with where the cliffs are and where the tree lines are. I just saw the Red Scout. The only way that Red Scout could possibly be in this position is if the red player is somewhere close by and is essentially the one who's going to be directly across from me this game. So I look over very quickly and I'm able to identify that red is Order of the Dragon. This is, I think, pretty lucky for me, and I kind of realized right away that red is probably going to be somebody that I'm going to want to be focusing down, especially because at this level, in kind of the Platinum Diamond range, people who are playing Order of the Dragon and Holy Roman Empire have a tendency to rush castle, be relatively greedy with their unit usage, try to grab a bunch of relics, and then kind of boom more significantly from there. I'm going to try to take advantage of what I'm expecting this player to do. And this is something that Valdemar talked about in one of his most recent videos, is that by having a familiarity with the game, having played so many, as so many of us have, you kind of have an expectation of what certain civilizations are going to be doing. It's important then to verify this, but I certainly am at the moment expecting, based on all my past experience, that this player is probably going to be going for a bit of a fast castle build. You can see this is my 4th villager now traveling out to the gold. On my team, they played very well. I think that I can give no knocks against them, but I think they would also agree that I kind of carried this game based on some of the decisions and actions that I made as it goes on. But in the blue here, we have Jornar or Jornar in the as the English, and on my team we also have yellow. It's Van Jiao as the Jeanne d'Arc. So we do have 2 players kind of going the more knight-focused builds, but Jeanne d'Arc is a bit different in kind of this hero situation, so it's not really a disadvantage for our team at all necessarily. However, important to note that on the enemy team, there is an Ayubid player, so there is the potential for some of those kind of camel units to come out and debuff a lot of the cavalry that we are making. So another reason why I'm kind of thinking this game is one that we want to be putting on a lot of pressure early. If the other team gets rolling and gets moving, English late game is tough to deal with. Order of the Dragon late game, especially as it goes on, is very difficult, and Ayubid is going to be able to build up a big mass if they're able to get farther and farther into this game. So I'm looking at the way that this map is spawned. My scout has kind of gone around this side. I'm seeing the potential for some small walls just to prevent some potential raids on my side based on this spawn. And I'm coming forward, and this is the town center. I do walk in ever so slightly, take a teeny bit of damage, but I now know that this is where the Order of the Dragon base is. And so you see, I kind of go over here and take a look at this deer pack, kind of identifying another one that I'm maybe going to want to be collecting from if I can. And I come around, and I see the stone is here. Okay, the secondary gold is here, and there's a nice big tree line. So then I do a little bit of a scan, and I'm like, okay, so he has a big tree line in front, absolutely nothing in the front of his base, huge tree line on the side. So if I want to be doing any damage, I have to be going all the way around in order to get there. So not an ideal spawn for me, especially when I'm going to be trying to do damage, but I'm right now scouting my base. This is my first target. How can I do damage to this player here, seeing that his gold, berries, Aachen Chapel, and Woodline are all going to be kind of around the back? Food for thought. I then very quickly also notice that my English ally here is doing a quick scouting of the orange English player, and I see that this player has a front gold. Very, very far out from the town center, and so that's also a point of weakness that I want to take advantage of. And these are the 2 things that I'm kind of realizing as I'm going through my build order. as I'm doing all the things that are kind of muscle memory from having done this so many times, I now have the brain power outside of kind of figuring out where my villagers are going to go, just to kind of start to see where I can go and where I can do damage with those knights that I'm going to be making in the very near future. So I have gone up with the School of Cavalry. First knight comes out, and you can see that I am currently rallying all the way over here to this forward gold. Because trying to loop around in this direction and getting my knight around the back here, it's a long distance. I'm kind of going straight for this area because I know that this gold is going to be a place where I can maybe pick off an easy villager or two. Especially because this is kind of so close to his town center in terms of walking distance. I could maybe get in here and do a little bit of damage, but it's more than likely that he's going to be able to go back. And in fact, even better idea, because he has chosen to be quite defensive and build a very safe wall, which now prevents me any and all access from getting around his base in this direction. I also noticed that my scout is redirected as a result of that wall completing, so fortunately I noticed that, and that my scout does not then run directly beside his town center and lose all these sheep. I need all these scouts. They need to be bringing deer back to my base. And that's what they are now doing. Pro Scouts is in for me. I have built myself 3 additional scouts here, and then I'm now moving into building more knights with the School of Cavalry. Now we're going to run back over here to refocus on what this knight is up to. So, about to make its way towards this gold mine. It arrives. I think I end up being idle here just for a little second, and then I move forward and I immediately scout these villagers here. I'm going to pause just for a quick second. Quick micro tip, if you don't know, what I do is I click on the furthest villager back in order to get that charge going kind of earlier. And as a result of doing that, it runs into this first villager. I then right-click on this damaged villager in order to then do the next strike. So you always want to be right-clicking the farthest units back in order to get those kind of short and quick charges off with your knights. But the great news is that with this one knight, I'm able to take no damage whatsoever and get a villager kill off of just having one knight on the field, which is the ideal scenario and ideally what you're aiming for when you're playing with a knight civ in these team games. Try to catch your opponents off guard with that first knight, do a little bit of damage while they're not paying attention, and set their economy behind ever so slightly. And then moving my knight over to this side to see if I can do some more damage. The Order of the Dragon player is paying attention and does manage to take out save his villagers inside this tower. And instead I try to loop around, see where all of his villagers are, and again I just do that little bit of a damage and push him off of the food sources here. Take some more arrow fire on my knight, and then I'm just kind of taking a moment to try and continue causing danger pings and distracting my opponent. Rule number 1, when you are raiding with knights, do not, under any circumstances, dive significantly under the town center unless you have... Oh, and then this guy chooses to kind of do an all-in attack on me, which ends up working. Unfortunately, I had one more swing to go, and it does take him down. Unless you have ranged defense 1. Do not be chasing villagers through or underneath the TC this early on in the game. It is simply not worth it. This knight, again, is going to be looking for a little bit of damage on this gold mine, but now this player has pulled off of gold entirely, and so... Now that I know that, I'm going to take a look and see if there's something else that I can do, and I think maybe I can run around to this side. I've already bugged this player. I've already poked around on this player. Can I do something over on this end? And this player is going to be going up with the white tower, and so there's no damage to be done there at all anyways. Good raiding damage from my Jeanne d'Arc ally here. Unfortunately, not a lot of damage to be found, so time to go back. I now have 2 stables, and my goal based on my economy is going to be trying to get production out of these 2 stables consistently as soon as I can. So, 1 villager kill, a little bit of idle time over here, but nothing too intense so far. But this just goes to show that if you're persistent, you can end the game very quickly with significant damage, even if things don't work out immediately. I'm still building up my knight force. I've only lost a single knight. This is still an open avenue to come around and see if I can sneak in some more damage, and that's exactly what I'm going to try to do. Again, all 5 villagers hop into this outpost, so there's no damage to be done here. I've got my blacksmith going. I'm now getting number 1 ranged armor on my knights. Wasn't able to do damage here. Again, gonna try and loop around and see what I can do. And I catch these guys trying their best to get a little mining camp up on the stone, get 2 more villager kills on this player. So really decent damage so far. Still building those knights consistently, rallying them forward, looping around this corner, and kind of regrouping with my knights. Probably now going to try and move around on this end. And again, I'm keeping my knights constantly moving, constantly focused. I'm doing my best to be shift-clicking all the deer with my scouts, but my focus is really up here at the front, trying to make sure these knights are not stationary. They really have not stopped moving this entire time that we've been looking at them. Trying to keep my economy as balanced as I can. 13 on food, only just 8 on wood, that's enough. And then a massive 17 on gold so I can get those upgrades and get that knight production continuing. And in fact, now I'm getting chivalry as well to start healing those knights a little bit. Come around here, remember that there's that wall from the beginning, so still just kind of searching. I'm a shark. I'm circling constantly around, looking for that moment where I can jump in and pounce. And now, specifically, that I have my additional armor, I'm feeling much more comfortable about maybe making a more aggressive move into the town center. Here's the great news. I'm able to pick off one of the prelates of the Order of the Dragon. So they've gone up to Castle Age, and I have kind of swiftly jumped in and denied a relic that they were trying to take. Always very nice, but you can kill one of those first prelates that are coming out. Really good pick up there. My knights are now healing. This ally is kind of just waiting for a bit. And now, unfortunately, my Jeanne d'Arc ally is starting to be pushed back by the Desert Raider mass that is coming in more of a force on this side. I come around, and I just so happen, because I'm constantly looking around, to catch out a mass of... How many villages is that? Like 10, 12? Anyways, I put my knights in a great position to block them off. This is an intelligent player who ends up then running up the wall that's there, so my knights can't get to these villagers anymore. But I managed to kill probably 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 villagers right there from this orange English player, who's even more in trouble than they were before. And run in just to see. I wasn't quite focused on the front here, so I don't do a lot of damage, but I am still forcing more idle time. And this is the problem. He's gone up and he has these very, very impressive units, but they are not upgraded in any way, shape, or form. And I have a pretty significant force here at the front that is able to do, or at least handle, this small fight. Some more fights up here. Great raiding on the purple player by my ally. Leaving Jean to die, but getting a little bit of experience, which is perfect. I loop back around, trying to see if I can do anything about these villagers. I ping my ally, who comes over and is able to then clean up all of these. So these ones who were just kind of sitting there, kind of being annoying, pesky on top of the wall, well, I've got archers as backup now, and so all of these villagers go down. This is getting to be kind of significant damage. This is getting to be like, oh, this is putting us really far behind. This player specifically, even though they're in Castle Age, I don't know what kind of an economy they have, considering how many villagers they lost so far. But that's not even, I think, the most important raiding damage I do during this game. I find this Gilded Knight hanging out by itself. I quickly get the surround on it, so it can't move, it cannot go back and heal, and it's down. There's more here, but I catch myself seeing this prelate, very quickly focus that down. No more healing coming out on that front. And this is what I was saying, where now I feel kind of a bit more confident in sitting underneath some of this arrow fire. I'm not taking a lot of damage from these strikes anymore, and this is the time to try and push in more significantly. Really low health on some of these. I decide to move over here to bait out the emergency repairs, and then I immediately turn back around to these units here and take them down. And this is a nasty amount of knights. I now have 17 knights in this player's base, and this is where it all falls apart. He immediately calls his villagers back to the town center to hide. I have bad news for you, there's only 15 spaces. And so I get a complete surround on all of these Order of the Dragon villagers right here, and I kill, it's a massacre. I kill at least half, if not more, of his entire economy. and I've just been circling, putting on that pressure, keeping things kind of dangerous. He kind of rallies his units away from the gold too significantly, which allows me to pounce even more, and this player surrenders. It is now a 2v3 based on the damage that I have solely done to this player. Neither blue nor yellow even touched or came close to this player whatsoever. I jumped at the opportune time, recognized them as a target at the beginning of the game, and was able to cause game-ending damage by being patient and waiting for those moments. Now, obviously, this is now almost, or at least very, very significantly in our favor as a team. However, the game's not over. So one of the things you want to do in the case of a player surrendering and you suddenly having a player advantage, it's always a great idea to take 1 foot off of the gas and age up, tech up. In this case, the orange player is already in Castle Age, may have a massive crossbows that I'm not familiar with, and if I'm trying to dive the White Tower with Feudal Knights, it's not going to be very effective. If I'm trying to face a gigantic force of these spears with the Desert Raiders behind with the Camel Unease on my Knights, it's not going to be the most ideal fight. So I just stopped making units for a very brief period of time, and then I start to go up with the Royal Institute. I'm massing Knights. If I can get Bloodlines in as an upgrade, that's going to be my kind of big power spike moment. We've already taken out a player without that power spike, so I definitely feel like if I can get that, then there's pretty much no chance of us losing this game at all. Trying to come in, just cause a little bit of pressure, get a bit more of a sense of this player's base, because I was very familiar with kind of red and orange, not as much with what was going on this purple side throughout the course of the game. And just like that, now I'm up, and very quickly I have second ranged armor queued, I have veteran knights queued, and I have royal bloodlines queued up and ready to go. Continuing to move my knights. They're not standing here at the front. They're moving around, searching for any additional pockets of villagers. Where could they be? Rallying these knights forward, kind of creating a bit of a group that is then going to go around and join. And this is a pretty big mass that we've kind of got combined between Jeanne d'Arc and I. Very, very heavy, tanky, and speedy units. Going to be causing some problems. He splits off in this direction. I decide, okay, if you're going to be causing danger over here, I'll go around the other side and see what I can do. We do have some markets, so there is a bit of trade coming in for Jeanne d'Arc as well. Come in, kill a couple villagers who are building on this side, and as my opponent is distracted a little bit over here with this group, I run through and cause some idle time on both of these TCs with my knights. I turn around for a bit of a fight, and then I realize, whoa, hold on. If I wait ever so slightly for Royal Bloodlines to finish, in 15 seconds I can turn around and crush this army as if it was nothing. I don't want to take too much additional damage when I could just be a little bit more patient and win the fight outright in just a moment. So this is the other lesson I kind of wanted to focus on in this game, was that if you have a power spec, if you're waiting for an upgrade, wait for it to finish, and immediately I turn around and launch in. I use these to attack these villagers, and then these knights. Do I even lose a single one against all this massive spears? I think I lose 1 or 2. And the rest are completely obliterated by my fully upgraded Royal Knights. Toast. And then all these villagers have also been slain. And at the front here, the blue English player is doing his best to just continue to cause massive, massive problems. And we run in. Now we're running through the entire economy on this side, using the knights to destroy the wood villagers and any villagers around here, so this is just a wipe, and we're just at this point waiting for our opponents to surrender. But by taking that step back, teching up, getting our upgrades, we can sit here and do this all day. And if they want to wait for us to kind of go through and kill every single individual unit, we can absolutely do that, but the chances of us winning this game are now pretty close to 100%, I would say. Now that we've done significant damage over here, keep these knights moving. Let's jump over to this side and see what damage we can do on the orange player as well. Oh, he does hit Castle Age, the purple Ayubit player. The disadvantage, unfortunately, of having that House of Wisdom, you can't speed up the age up, and so he does lose a ton before that happens. And then I see more juicy villagers to collect, run in. Very quickly, this white tower is going down, so that's the only keep on the map that is preventing us from winning. And just like that, surrender and surrender. So that's the game. I identified my target early. Order of the Dragon tends to want to rush castle. What can I possibly do? Kept those knights constantly circling. Okay, I've done a little bit of damage here. I'm not going to go back here. I'm going to go over in this direction. Make them forget that I was there. Make them not so nervous or aware of the fact that my knights are hovering. Do damage over here. Come back around. Hit a different side. Just wanted to jump over to the stats screen because it does tell the story pretty significantly, because I'm constantly circling and eventually jump in and do that game-ending damage. Really did a great job keeping orange down. Then this was the massive hit onto red. And then, of course, at the end of the game, when it was just the 2v3, we're able to significantly decrease purple's economy count and villager count as well. And so that's how we can win games, by kind of being very, very active on the map, constantly looking for different areas. I didn't have my knights even in 2 different groups. I was just using them in different locations, constantly keeping them moving. So keep that in mind as you're continuing to grind out your team games, and I hope that helps you win some more on the ranked ladder. Thank you guys so much for watching. More AoE 4 content coming your way, and looking forward to see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.